So Ruth, I know you teach a course at Columbia. Can you tell us a bit about the course?
Yes, I was invited about 5 years ago to develop a core course at the Columbia Business School's Continuing Ed Department, Master's Degree in Strategic Communications. And I really enjoyed this work because the director there recognized that the people who were learning how to develop strategic communications plans needed to be thinking measurement thoughts. And many of them came from a PR background and hadn't really been trained in metrics and measurement. So I had the fun of coming up with a syllabus that was designed to both capture their attention and also teach them some of the fundamentals. PR still being a difficult nut to crack in the world of thinking about measurement. But the way I approached it was by saying the first thing that we need to do as marketing communicators is develop specific objectives, and then out of those objectives will come the metrics by which we will determine whether our objectives were met. And then the third element is to think about data capture. How are we going to fill those metrics with the numbers that will show whether how the campaign did. So with those three stages, setting objectives, identifying metrics, and then capturing data, the students had a pretty easy time figuring out how to apply or to identify a measurement plan for the campaigns that they were already developing in school and in their businesses.
So can you give us some examples of metrics?
Yeah, starting again with objectives, which makes sense and also allows us to speak the language of senior management and the business people that we're serving as marketers. Let's say that I'll go back to a business-to-business example. Say that the objective of the campaign is to generate 500 leads at $350 per lead in the next 6 months. And I would also very likely include some kind of qualifier there that they would be leads of a certain quality. So leads of a certain quality in a certain time frame at a certain price. And that would be the objective. Then out of that, the metrics are pretty easy. All I'm going to do is count leads. But because I've introduced the quality factor, I have to determine how I'm going to evaluate whether they were quality or not. And typically in a business-to-business environment, that will be either sort of what I call an activity-based metric, which might be did the 500 leads that I generated meet the qualification criteria that had been established in advance between the marketing and the sales department. So maybe, according to the agreement that we set in place with sales, we wanted them to have certain characteristics like they were at a certain title level, they had a certain budget in mind, they were only 3 months away from a purchase decision, whatever those criteria were. Now, activity-based metrics are wonderful because we in marketing tend to be able to control them. Control is maybe not the right word, but at least we have access to the data to evaluate whether we've met those or we've accomplished those or not. But more important to the business typically are what I call results-based metrics. In this example, those might be that the leads had or that the campaign included some kind of inquiry to lead conversion rate that is typical of our business, so that we didn't, that the inquiries that we generated through the campaign were of sufficient quality that they converted to a qualified lead at a certain rate. It might be 20%, 50%, whatever. And then we might also introduce And that tends to still be manageable by marketing. But then we might also introduce, to support the business, a lead to sales conversion rate that would be an important metric. So already we have identified 3 metrics. We're talking about the number of leads and the cost per lead. We're talking about the inquiry to lead conversion rate, that's another metric, and the lead to sales conversion rate, which is often in business to business more difficult to capture because, as I said earlier, sometimes the sale doesn't take place for 12 to 18 months, and the person who closes the sale may not be under our control. It may be a third-party reseller who has no incentive really to report back to us, and we may lose track of whether the lead actually converted. So that can be a difficult number or data point to get. But that's a pretty, I hope, concrete enough example to give you an idea of how the objectives can convert to metrics, and then the data capture can be set up.